Hello and welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson, and for months you guys have been trying to pry out of me what's the best aquarium cleaning magnet, the Tunze Care magnet or the Flipper cleaner magnet. Well, you have to wait till the end of the video to find out which one I think is best. But I'm going to go through the magnet cleaners and glass cleaners that I've used in the past, and I'll let you know at the end why I like what I like.
I think we all started off with these two tools, the brush and the stick scraper. Now the brush is big, it's huge, it knocks everything over, you can't see what you're doing, and it doesn't get the hard algae off. The scraper is big and gets the hard algae off, but you're still going to make a mess of your tank, you're going to get water everywhere, and you still can't see what you're doing.
When I started keeping the 90-gallon tank, I moved on to the MagFloat magnet. You can see by how much stuff is on this, how long I actually used that. This is actually a decent cleaning magnet if all you want is a cleaning magnet. It's nice because it floats and it actually sticks to the glass really well. You got a nice, powerful, strong magnet on there, and it does a good job cleaning the day-to-day algae. I use the combination of a MagFloat magnet and a scraper to get the hard algae off until I got the 210-gallon tank. Then one day I caught a piece of sand between the magnet and the glass, and I put about a 6-inch scratch in my brand new 210-gallon tank. This magnet had to go.
I never wanted to put another scratch in my 210-gallon tank again, so I bought the Tunze Care magnet. I bought the long magnet, and this magnet is brilliant because it's a blade style magnet and it reduces the risk of getting sand stuck underneath it or between the glass. At this point, I'm happy in my magnet cleaning solution. And out of the blue, the Flipper Cleaner Company hits me up and asks me if I'd like to try out their Flipper cleaning magnets. And they offer to send me 3 for free to try out. The only condition being that I make a video and that I'm as fair and unbiased as possible. But when I made the Flipper videos, you guys wanted to know what's better, the Tunze or the Flipper.
So here's the Contenders. And I'm just going to start whittling stuff off, and I'm going to tell you what I like about each one and what I don't like about each one. So, first thing, the brush. I don't like that thing at all. I wouldn't use it, I don't use it, that thing's out. So next up's the scraper. This is a necessity if you're going to go with just a magnet alone without a blade on it. So if you're going to go that style, you gotta have a scraper. But this top fin is incredibly flexible. When you get in there to scrape that glass, you're always bending the scraper instead of scraping the glass. So this top fin's actually out. I'm going to swap that out with the Kett Marine scraper. This has a swappable blade. Granted, it's a pain to swap, but it's swappable. And this is solid. I can put a lot of force on the tank, so I can really get in on that coral and algae and do a nice job scraping it. So if I gotta have a scraper, I'm gonna at least have a decent one. Next up's this top fin magnet. And to be honest, this thing's a piece of crap. It feels reasonably strong when you're holding it, but it's really fat, so it doesn't like to go around the aquarium corners. And it's huge. I mean, it's taller than the MagFloat. It's fat, it hits everything. It's terrible all the way around. I don't recommend this magnet to anybody. And it's also like 15, 16 bucks. By the time you put this with a decent scraper, you can have the Tunze or the Flipper. So next up is the MagFloat. The MagFloat has some pretty cool things going for it. First, this is going to float when you lose it, which is awesome because it's going to float to the surface. I can reach out and grab it. These fall off, they're kind of annoying to get. So I like the MagFloat for that reason. The bad news is gravel gets stuck under this pad. Now, any magnet that uses a pad has the potential to get gravel stuck underneath it. So that's the downside to this. The other downside is there's no blade on this to scrape with. So an equivalent magnet, now remember this one's 10 years old or so, an equivalent magnet to this is about $20 today. That's not a bad price. But you have to have this in conjunction with a good scraper. This is going to run you $15 to $30. Now we're at $35 to $45. The other alternative is to buy the mag float with the scraper built on the end. This is cool because you don't have to spend the money on the scraper. Plus, you're not actually using the hand scraping tool, which, as I stated earlier, is really a pain in the butt to use, and I prefer not to use it. Downside to that is your scraper goes on the same side as your pad, which means when you start working towards the rock layer, you got a good chance at getting a rock underneath this pad and scratching your glass. Now we're down to the final two. We've got the standard flipper against the Tunze long magnet. Now these are direct competitors. The Tunze long, as we stated before, is a blade only design. The flipper is a blade with a pad. The flipper is unique because when you want a blade, you flip it. When you want a pad, you flip it. The Tunze is unique because it's a blade only design. You've got no pad here to capture rocks. So let's talk for a moment about each magnet's ability to capture rocks, because no matter what you buy, from the brush to the scraper to a regular magnet to the flipper or the Tunze, you have the potential to capture a rock underneath your magnet and scratch your glass, which is a killer when you pay as much as some of us do for our tanks. Now, the Tunze's design is it pushes this piece away from the glass itself, reducing the risk of capturing a rock there. Now, there is still the potential to capture a rock in this section or between either of the blades. So it can happen with the Tunze, but it's very unlikely. The flipper has a really high likelihood of catching a rock if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. If you're using this in pad mode and you catch a rock on the bottom, you can easily catch a rock between your pad and the glass. So when I use my flipper magnet, this thing never gets closer than about an inch to the sand bed. I just won't risk it. But the flipper has other tricks up its sleeve. You can flip the flipper, and now you've got a blade, and you've got these two little nubs. And these two little nubs effectively push the flipper up off the glass so that the rocks are less likely to get caught in there. Now, it is possible to catch a rock in there. You still got to watch what you're doing, but I have to say, I've worked right in the sand bed, and I've hardly ever caught a rock. But I do recommend you watch what you're doing. You just have to be smart with the tools you're using. So the big downside with the Tunze long is how fat these heads are. Now, this can't make it around a corner, so you have to take the magnet out of the tank every time you want to go around a corner. It's incredibly annoying. Now, Tunze does give you smaller heads, which will go around the corner. They're more for acrylic tanks, as they'll put more pressure on the glass and help clean off some of that harder algae. But with the fat blades on there, like I like to use on my big tank, it won't go around the corner. So that is super annoying. Both the standard flipper magnet and Tunze magnets have plastic blades which can be used on acrylic tanks. When it comes to pricing, you're looking at about $35 for the Tunze and about $40 for the flipper. Now, throughout the range, both of these magnets are very competitive. One slight bonus, on the small side, the Tunze does have an acrylic option where the flipper does not. So when it comes to a small tank in acrylic, the Tunze is hands down the winner, as flipper doesn't make a small acrylic magnet yet. I've been putting it off long enough, guys. You guys want to hear a winner? Winner is the flipper cleaning magnet. The big reason is the flipper goes around corners where the Tunze with the fat blades on, let's face it, that's what we're all going to clean with, doesn't go around a corner. So every time there's a corner,
I have to take the Tunze
out of the tank, move it to the next corner, clean, well, dry my hands off, then clean again, get to the next corner, take it out, dry my hands off, clean again, where the flipper does that seamlessly. And it's fast with that pad on there On the day-to-day basis, I can just wipe my tank down. That daily algae comes off. The Tunze, because of that corner issue, is slow. That's not to say the Tunze magnet is bad. I used the Tunze magnet for over a year. I loved that magnet until I got my hands on a flipper. And to tell you the truth, if I had to go back to using the Tunze magnet, I wouldn't be sad by it. It's a fantastic magnet. It's a very unique design. I like it. But if I have to choose, I'm choosing the flipper magnet over the Tunze.
So thanks for watching this episode of My Holy First. Like, comment, and subscribe.